Hey guys, we are the Let's Talk 20s podcast. I am your host, Tanner.
I'm one of the co-hosts, Connor.
And I'm your other co-host, GT.
Guys, this podcast is centered around common themes that people in their 20s may be going through, whether it's anxiety, depression, other mental health things, relationships, and so much more. It's all about things that we're all going through together. We may think we're going through it individually, but the point of this podcast is bringing light to things that we're all going through together.
We can't wait for you guys to hear about our thoughts with this. We upload weekly episodes every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. sharp, so please tune into that if you'd like to hear the episodes. We also all come together every week for a different topic, and we each share our perspective on that 3 times a week, so please look forward to those as well.
And you guys can find us on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts at Let's Talk 20s Podcast. We look forward to seeing you guys soon.
And with that being said, please enjoy this episode. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another episode of the Let's Talk 20s podcast. I am your host, Tanner, with my two co-hosts, Connor and GT. As usual, fellas, how we doing?
Hey, yo!
Well, I'll tell you what's up. This is the first time that the three of us have been together to record in 5 weeks-ish. 5 weeks.
Too long.
Too long. Life got in the way and things happen, but that's completely fine. That's why we record a little bit more than, once a week in order for us to have something to vault for you guys. But we're back. And with that being said, we are going to switch up the structure a little bit. I want to try something a little bit new, guys. I want to talk about a topic for the first half, and then the second half, I think it would be nice if we just kind of, chatted a little bit and maybe not had necessarily a whole episode of the advice and self-help and all that stuff, and just see how it goes. So the topic for today, before I ask how you two are doing, obviously I have to do that. I don't think I forgot about you guys. The topic for today is going to be talking about yourself 10 years ago and yourself 10 years from now, kind of talking about how we have evolved and how maybe things that we thought would happen in present day is not exactly how we anticipated, but how we kind of took what we have now and we're in a spot now. And I think all three of us, for the most part, happy with where we're at. Maybe not the exact journey that we anticipated 10 years ago, and then talk about what we think will be going on in our lives in 10 years from now. So, but before we get into that, fellas, how are we doing since, we all haven't really chatted in a little bit? What's going on?
Yeah, GT, what's up with you? I haven't seen you in forever, man.
It's been a lot going on. It's just a lot of baseball, a lot of family stuff going on. So, but, hey, it is what it is. Life, stuff happens, and just gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta keep pushing, right? But just spending time with the family, hanging out with my girl, her sister, and her brother-in-law, and her nephew. So, welcome, nephew Logan, to the podcast.
Saw that beautiful picture.
He's now gonna be brought up in the podcast here and there, but so yeah,
brought in or brought on to the podcast?
No, he will. He probably will be on here, but
he's learning to speak pretty quickly, huh?
Yeah, it's kind of impressive how quick he's learning to talk. Like, he's already trying to have like full conversations with us.
How old is he?
And he's 3 months. Ain't that some?
Yeah, wow. That sounds about right.
I think it's a little quicker than usual, but
he's trying to talk to us, and he'll just go, Ada. I'm like, no, I'm doing it right back to him.
He's talking to you in baby language.
Yeah, straight up.
He's talked to me about like Newton's third law and stuff,
Yeah,
like, you know what I'm saying?
He probably was, talking to Newton's third law to you, then cussing me out. I was like, Uncle G ain't.
That is exactly what he said. He was like, Newton's third law is my favorite law, and Uncle G ain't.
I know, he was smiling too. He was probably like, you don't even know what I'm saying, you punk.
Little to you now, motherfucker. Yeah, no. Well, dude, also I heard that, we talked on the phone recently, and you were talking about the job interview, the job search and everything. You've been having some good interviews lined up, so I hope that turns out well.
I appreciate it, man. We'll see.
Dude, I hope so. What
about you, Connor? Practicing the bass, taking those lessons?
Yeah, lessons are getting a lot better. I've been spending so much money on it that I actually had to like kick myself into gear. Like, I got to take this seriously. I think I mentioned that before. So it's been getting a lot better. I've been more focused on how I'm going to sound like with the band and how I'm going to sound if I recorded something. My teacher's teaching me just like a lot of etiquette stuff and how to take care of my bass and how to hold it right and how to play it right and stuff. So there's just a lot of things that I didn't fully know before learning on my own, and now I am. So it's been really great, really good practice. So I couldn't be happier about it. That's been a big focus, and then my job, and I've gotten to spend a lot. I've had to spend more time with work than I've had to because there's just been so much going on. But I've been getting some praise at work, so that's making me less anxious about potentially finding a new job. Like my boss has been out this week, and I've gotten like several shout outs about like covering for her, which I didn't expect. So that was nice. So there's that, and then I've been able to hang out a ton with Shay recently, and it's been really nice. We've gotten a lot closer the past couple of weeks. We got to do like this like nice fall date last week. We went to a corn maze, pumpkin patch. We got apple pies. It was just perfect fall date. So it's been really nice.
Look at you, little cutie.
Thanks, cutie.
Hey, before Tanner goes, because I know he's got stuff. Connor, getting
got
into
it.
reading, my boy.
Congrats, man. I'm glad you're getting back into it, bud.
Getting into it, guys.
Good.
Excellent.
Good, dude. That's awesome.
What about you, Tanner?
What
Yeah,
about
what's up,
me?
Tanner?
Well, birthday is Sunday, so that will
That's
be
true.
prior to this being released. But I know Tatum's coming up with her boyfriend tomorrow, and I have 2 exams next week, so I have to set aside time for studying still and all of that. But I don't know, Cameron and I are hanging out tomorrow. She's apparently taking me out to a nice dinner, and it's a surprise what we're doing. So I'm excited for that. Study a little bit, spend time with the family. But besides that, school, trying to get back into the gym, and I'm trying to think of anything else really crazy is going on. But no, not really, man. Just day by day. With that being said, guys, I'm glad that we're all doing well, but I want to get into this episode. So the first question I have with you guys, I want to talk about the past a little bit, and then we can get into our future selves. But the first question I want to ask about where you were 10 years ago versus now is in terms of your happiness. A lot of people kind of wish they did something different, wish that they took that extra leap of faith to try something new or go with their gut, and who knows where they would have ended up. But my thing is that I don't think one decision can define and determine your whole path of life. I think life is just a series of decisions and a series of experiences that happen. And although there is such thing as a butterfly effect, I just don't truly believe in that saying about how you changing one thing or wishing you could go back and redo 1 or 2 things will make you as happy as you are now or less happy. So I guess my question is, do you guys agree with my side or the perspective of going back to change 1 or 2 things and thinking that will change or drastically impact how your happiness would be now?
I don't think it changes like the level of happiness. I think it would change like situations where you're at. That's how I go about it. That's the only thing that initially pops up to me. I don't think of, oh, if I did this, I'd be happier, because I might think I'd be happier, but who am I to know what everything that's going to come from behind that decision or that action to then say, yeah, I would be absolutely be happier. Could I say if I did one thing majorly different, how I'd be happier? Probably not, because I probably wouldn't have learned a valuable lesson. I wouldn't have experienced something that would make me who I am today, and I wouldn't be the exact same person that I am. So, and I think that's, in a way, I think kind of wrong, because it's hard to compare who I am right now to what I wouldn't even know who I am had I changed this one little thing 10 years ago. My definition of happiness could be completely different, but I do think there could be an absolutely different situation. That's how I look at it.
I think that's a great point, and that's how I would interpret it. But there are people, and maybe someone in your personal life that kind of maybe reminisces on the past a little bit more and truly believes in their heart that they could go back and change 1 or 2 things, and then that would have drastically improved their life, or maybe it was a relationship, or a hobby that they wish they picked up or whatever. So I guess I mean, I completely agree with you, and I think that is the correct perspective, GT. But Connor, do you have anything more to add to that?
I mean, it's interesting because if you had asked me this not 10 years ago, but a couple of years ago, I think I was in the boat that I was not really happy with the present as much, and I was always looking towards the future because of my mistakes in the past. And I think when, like 10 years ago, my perspective was always focused on forward, but it was always focused on so far forward in the future. It was like there were just things I was focusing on that were like out of my control. And again, I wasn't focused on the present. And so more recently, I feel like I've had to go through all of that in order to get to this perspective that I'm at now, which has made me more appreciative of whatever's going on in the present, right? So I think for me, I do have a similar perspective. I don't want to repeat the answer, but I'm not going to say that I've never been on that other side that you're talking about. I have, and it took me being on that side to eventually get to that side. So if you feel like you're somebody who is on that level where like you maybe 10 years ago wish you had changed these things or wish things were different, well, again, I understand like not being happy with yourself and not being okay with like some of the decisions that you made in life. But at the end of the day, the best that you can do is live the life that you're living presently and currently as of today. And if you're not living that life anymore that you used to regret, do your best to just move past it. And if you never want to go there again, then just make decisions in your present so that your future won't look like what your past was. I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer because I don't think I have enough like decisions or things in life that I truly regret from 10 years ago. I mean, there are things that I wish that I did, but do I think it's impacted my bottom line of who I am as a person completely? No, I wouldn't say so.
Kind
I
of going
think
off of
everyone
that.
has been on that side. No, I'm sorry. I agree with that as well, Connor. I think real quick before Tanner goes in, I think absolutely everyone has been on that side.
Yeah.
Everyone. And if you were to tell me you've never thought about had you changed one thing, I think you'd be lying to yourself.
Oh,
But it
yeah.
doesn't mean like you're 100% committed to, oh yeah, if I had just done this, blah, blah, blah. Some people are, but I think a lot of people are not. So, but that's just what came to my mind.
Yeah, I kind of want to ask a follow-up question with that because you guys are talking about how the happiest version of yourself is your current self, right? And how maybe things could have changed in the past if you switched one or two things, but who knows what kind of person you would have become or what your personality is, et cetera, et cetera. Completely
Yeah.
agree with that statement. You know the saying of everything happens for a reason.
Yep.
Do you guys truly believe that in your heart where maybe there's a predetermined path for your life, or do you think that there is maybe a higher power who kind of has a path for you whether you realize it or not, and everything does happen for a reason? Or do you guys take the maybe an opposing perspective? And I don't think there's really two sides. I think it's a multi-side kind of conversation. I would say on the flip side would be people who kind of think that no, you're complete control of your fate and destiny, and the actions that you make for yourself is what truly impacts your life. So I don't know if you guys want to elaborate on how you guys view that in terms of maybe looking back on your past and realizing that everything happens for a reason and I am who I am today because of that, or thinking that it's the actions that I made that got me to where I am today.
I think there is like a predetermined plan, but I think there's different pathways for the different ones. I don't think it's like this is exactly how this is going to go down. I think there's different paths that you're guided along, but then when it comes down to crunch time, it comes down to the final decision. That's where you come into play, and that's where you take a side and you go down a path, and that's yours, and then you get different options from that. I don't. If you were to try to tell me that someone is making all the decisions for you, you'd be bullshitting me. So I think it's yes for the most part. Your life is going to be something incorporated from your youth that you might not ever think is going to happen, but there's little hints or something you might have experienced. I'd be hard
Interesting.
pressed.
Interesting. I like that
But
perspective.
I think you have a lot of influence on it, but I do not think you can control 1000% of everything that you're going to do, and that's going to happen around you.
I like that.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I'll approach it in a different way, and I want to focus more on the everything happens for a reason part of it because I think I understand that perspective, and I think that perspective, at least from my opinion, comes from I don't want to say coping, but it's like, if you're going through something hard and you don't understand why something is happening, or maybe something bad happened that you didn't expect, or something good is going on in your life, and then something comes in your way and you're like, well, everything happens for a reason, right? I'm more thinking about, like, I think that it's kind of 50-50, because I think if we all could plan our lives for the type of people that we are, that would kind of take away that free will thing, because I think that we as people, and I think GT was kind of honing in on this, I feel like we have predetermined outcomes just because of who we are as people. I just think that there are certain pathways that in theory we could take, but I don't think that we're likely to take it just because of like the type of people that we are, for example. You know what I mean? Like, there are certain skill sets that I don't have as an individual. For example, I'm not a great dancer or an artist. So I'm never going to have a pathway in my life where I'm going to be a dancer or an artist, for example. Not because I couldn't try it, not because I couldn't do it, but that's just not my personality, right? So I don't feel like, even though I could technically do it and the idea of it makes sense, I don't think that that's something that I would ever do. So bringing it back to like the whole, that's something that I can control, or the things that are like a part of my personality and what I'm strong with. The whole thing about how people have that thing where everything happens for a reason. I don't know if I agree with that, because there are plenty of things in my life that have happened for no reason and I can't explain it, but they have happened, right? And I couldn't have controlled how it happened, what my reaction was. Well, I could have controlled what my reaction was, but I couldn't have controlled the outcome of it, or the circumstance of the situation at all. So I think you can control certain things, but I think that there's too many variables that you can't control, and I think it's pretty evenly split, I would say. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it
I
makes
like it.
sense. It makes sense. I don't want to disagree with you guys, but I just have a different perspective, and I think that for things that we can't explain and things we can't explain, I think everything does happen for a reason. And I truly think that, like the two of you have alluded to, there's so many external factors for us to say that we are in control of our lives. I think it's a very small percentage of things we are in 100% control over. And I just, I don't know, religion aside, God put us here for a reason, and all of that. I believe that there is just something about that and a higher power to where we are all here for a reason, whether we do or do not figure it out in this lifetime. And I don't know, that's just my perspective. I've always had that perspective, and I think you can, like you said, kind of steer the path that you're on. But I think such a vast majority of our lives really is out of our own hands, and whether it's in the hands of other people or just kind of flying by the seam of our pants, I just think something has to be quote unquote in control, or something has to kind of dictate that, right? It's not just happening with no reason, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, but I just want to ask you guys and pick your brain on that one. So switching gears then to kind of our future selves, do you think there's any decision that you can make within the next few years that you foresee yourself doing that could potentially change how you envision your life to be 10 years from now?
Ooh, I think we're all at that age where we're all thinking about like engagement. So I think that throws your whole life, like it switches a lot of things up, and it's for the better. And some things that you need to learn that you might not have learned earlier in previous relationships. And it's something that, especially in your 20s and 30s, a lot of people get engaged, and a lot of people look at those times as, okay, like this is who I feel like is my person. I know is my person, right? Depending on who you are in your situation. So I think that's one thing that is a massive change. That will change a lot within 10 years. 10 years after being engaged, that's a lot. You have a kid, a house, car payments, that's a lot.
Yeah, a lot can happen in 10 years. And speaking from the other side, dude, engagement does change a lot of things. And obviously, Cameron and I are a little bit different because we don't live together like you and Addison do. So you guys have the bond and that perspective of knowing who the other person is on a everyday basis, living together, right? I think there is some things, or I should say, growing pains with moving in with a partner, right? You learn more about yourself and your partner. But yes, a lot can happen with engagement, and that is a big decision for sure. Connor, do you have
Yeah.
anything that, in addition to engagement, that you think will?
Well, you know, I mean, this time 10 years ago, from where I thought I would have already been like married and maybe on my way to have a kid. I thought I was going to I thought I was going to be a young father for a long time. And then when I got into college and stuff, obviously that changed pretty quickly.
You realize
But
how quick you could be a dad.
Exactly.
yeah, I was like,
Yeah, one thing leads to the next. 18-year-old father, young.
no, not still. We'll get there. We'll get there one day in
In due
next
time.
few years. We'll see.
Next,
Who
I'm
knows?
about to say, Connor. Just
Yeah.
Few years is like within like 5 years for me.
about to
You know
say,
what I'm
Connor,
saying?
we're in October. I'm about to say, what's going on?
I was saying within like within 5 years or so.
Tanner,
likely.
he's gonna have all of us beat with the
But-
youngest relationship.
Probably. But no, what was I gonna say? So if I'm thinking about ways that the engagement thing, I know where that's gonna be in 10 years. Like I know my person, I know that this is what it's gonna be. Kids and stuff like that. Like I know what it's gonna be as well for me. So I'm not really worried about I'm not really like concerned about that. The main thing that I could think of that is going to be different is honestly probably where I live.
Who you're living with,
Yeah, and like who I'm around, like my group.
growing together.
Yeah, my whole family is pretty much doesn't live in this area anymore. Like they're all pretty much gone. At least the ones that I'm close with, and any of the ones that I'm close with want to move like even further away or do something else. And then I have friends and stuff that I don't know where they're going to be. I don't know what their lives are going to be. I don't know if I mean just talk about Tanner right now. Tanner's not around here. Tanner hasn't been around here in forever. I know.
Yeah.
And
Me too.
another close friend, Brad, he's in North Carolina right now. He's not super far, but he's still like 8 hours away or so. My brother's in DC, and I'm not really like married to this idea of staying here. If everybody that I knew was like in the same place and stuff, and I felt like I had like community, and I do have a community here. I've got my friends, I've got UGT, I've got a bunch of people around here that I know and care about. But it's like I always thought first 10 years ago, I thought I was going to be like somewhere across the state by now. Now, 10 years from now, I feel like I have literally no idea where I'm going to be. And I didn't expect that. I literally could go anywhere in the Southeast, maybe even further. And as long as it's a good city that's good to raise kids in, that's not like super expensive, it could be anywhere. And I've never thought that I would like not know who my group's going to be and like where it's going to be. So it's interesting to think about that. Like that's a variable. You never know what variables you think that you have control over, but you really don't have control over it.
Oh, kind of goes back to the previous question. And it's funny just because the question about 10 years, how we're using it as a milestone, is because I knew both of you 10 years ago.
Yeah, you did.
And it's so funny. And you knew me, but you didn't know each other. It's funny how
we did.
You knew of each other.
We didn't
maybe.
really know each other like in
no,
depth,
but we knew
like
of
we
each
now.
other. We thought
Right.
we knew of what was going on with each other in the know,
boy,
and then
has
we
that
had the
image
knowledge of
changed.
knowing what was going to happen.
Shut the fuck up.
That image has changed so much.
Since I've known you guys for
didn't
10
know
years, I
what
know what
was
you
really
guys
gonna be
wanted 10 years ago when we talked about, oh, I can't wait till out of college and this, and this. And we kind of talked about maybe what we expected or maybe quote unquote wanted our future to look like, right? And now here I am with you guys 10 years later. All three of us are on paths that we didn't necessarily expect. Now, is that better for worse? I think in all three of our cases, it's for the better. All three of us are significantly happy. We got partners. We're doing things to propel ourselves, whether it's pretty much all of us in a way, propelling ourselves in our careers. We're really building a life for ourselves. And I think that's really cool. So it'll be interesting, assuming that we're all still very close, which I imagine nothing getting in the way of us 10 years from now, to look back on ourselves and think about, wow, that was a curveball I never expected. And I think my answer, to make it short and simple, would be how much my work ethic and how much my decision making in terms of what I do for myself to help my future self, those decisions that I do within the next few short years really will determine and dictate how the next 7 years will be for the 10-year mark from now. You know what I mean? I think right now the long hours that I work, the effort I put into school, the networking I do within school and outside of school to get that first job post college, and the relationships I make with people in my life within the next few years. I think the 20s, as we've talked about so much, is very important and a foundational figure out who you are as an individual and who you will continue to be as an individual. So I think the big decisions that will determine who I am or how I am 10 years from now will really be my personality, my work ethic, my motivation, how I treat the people around me, like you said, Connor. And I think the relationships with myself and people around me are the most important things, and how those will determine and dictate how I am as a person, father, husband, etc. in 10 years from now. So that is my answer.
I like that.
You like that?
Well, that's well said, man.
I appreciate it. It's something I put some thought into, just because, man, when you're in the thick of it, and GT, when you're looking for a job, and Connor, when you're practicing the bass for an hour and a half, and you're just tired and frustrated because you're not doing what you want to do, it's very easy to get down and not really appreciate what you're trying to do for your future self. And I think
Yeah.
that's something that I've done recently with my mindset, just because how frustrated I've been with school and hours I'm putting in. And sometimes I'm not seeing the results I want to. But at the end of the day, me putting in the time and knowing that I'm improving slightly every single day, and I'm at least attempting to improve my future life, that is enough motivation. That is enough of self-reflection for me to hopefully day in, day out, over time, really improve my
Appreciate.
appreciate my future more. You know what I mean? It's the work that you put in today that will dictate your success tomorrow. I don't know if you guys had a question you wanted to ask with this topic before we wrapped it up. I know it's a little short thing, but I wanted to bring this up with you too.
No, I think I'm good on my side. I think definitely ask something and it leaves stuff for future. So stay tuned, people.
Stay tuned.
Connor's gonna come up with something.
Do you think 10 years from now that you see this same level of change within yourself that you came from 10 years ago to now, 10 years from now until 10 years in the future? Do you expect to see that same level, or do you think it's going to be more consistent? Because for me, I feel like in putting in this work to establish more of a baseline and trying to figure out myself, baseline, see what I did there, and trying to figure out like more of what I want to do. I went through all this stuff about I didn't know what I wanted to do in this past 10 years. And now that I have more of a foundation, because that's what I started to work on, I feel like I'm going to change significantly less from here to 10 years from now. I don't expect, I mean, I know my life will be different, but me as a person, I don't think I will be nearly as different. What do y'all think?
That's interesting. I think just as my previous answer said, that the next few years of me really putting in the time and effort, I am forced to adapt and evolve to shape myself into, from a student into an actual physical therapist, and all the jobs, and wedding coming up, and then a few years from then a kid. So now I got to take on the role of a father as addition to a husband. And I think my personal growth, and on top of all that, the introspection I've had within myself the last 2 years, and my personal growth as a result of that within the last 2 years, because I've seen how some things, I shouldn't say some things, let's say 95%, I'm not going to pretend like everything I've tried has succeeded. Let's say 90% of the things that I've done in terms of my introspection and trying to improve upon myself was successful. That kind of got me addicted to try to constantly improve upon myself. So, Connor, I completely see your perspective of why you believe that there will be maybe a decrease in terms of, you said the change, right? Like
Yes.
happiness and okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna flip on the other side though and say that I think just because of how my mindset is now and how I'm very hungry to improve, and I've had more introspection within the last few years. What about you,
Cool.
GT?
I think I'm gonna do a lot of growth in these next 10 years because that's just what my heart's telling me. My heart's telling me you're gonna see a lot of change in these next 10 years because you take 10 years ago me compared to now, world's different. if you take 10 years from right now to where I'm going to eventually be, I think people are going to be surprised.
Oh shit.
Okay.
Oh shit. You guys heard it here first. Clip that, save that. 9 years,
Keep receipts.
11 months, 29 days, and 59 minutes from now.
And 52 seconds.
Send that shit to GT.
You let me know.
Make the clock countdown 5, 4, 3.
And then I'll send
2.
you my accomplishment list.
Send you accomplishment. Imagine you reach out to a friend who you haven't talked to in a long time, and he doesn't even respond to your original text. He just sends you a fucking like accolades, accomplishments within the last since the last time you talked.
Fuck you, dude. I don't
I'd
want
be
to
like,
even talk
this
to
dude
you.
sucks. I don't want to talk to him no more.
That would be something GT would do, though. You just have that personality, bro, where I'll be like, I haven't talked to you in a long time, and I'm like, GT, how you doing, man? You're like, man, let me tell you. And then you just
got a Pulitzer Award, got
you
a
pull out
Nobel
the
Peace
awards.
Prize,
You're like waiting for like
got
somebody
a
to ask
Purple
you.
Heart.
You're waiting for somebody to get to you.
Oh my god, that's funny.
Hey, I got this. I got this medal for saving Connor Lawson's life.
That is
No, I wouldn't do that.
That's so funny, bro.
Tanner's like, it's true. Connor's like, how do I think about GT? I don't know. I really
I
know
like
GT.
the guy.
well, cool guys.
He's cool.
Very good.
Yes.
I think this topic was something that obviously we will revisit, but we've kind of alluded to it in past episodes, talking about our past selves and are we truly happy, and the gist of all of that. But I'm excited to see what the future holds. I get hyped when I talk with you guys about the future and how we're all in different ways. We're all trying to pursue different things in our life right now, but we're all really trying to improve ourselves. And like Connor talked about, a big influence on our self-improvement is the people we surround ourselves with. So just want to say that having you two in my corner as two of my best friends is, very, very special to me because, for one, I haven't had friendships pretty much as long as I've known you guys, which is really sad or exciting depending how you want to look at it. And for two, you guys have always been there and really tried to improve upon yourself and all that, and that's very contagious. You know what I mean? So
absolutely. Well,
you two have always pushed me to be better.
Boy, yeah,
and I know
Tanner
GT
is-
can attest to that. Like whenever you're going through something and you're trying to push yourself, it always inspires me. I'm like, man, am I kicking myself in the same gear as Tanner is? And if I'm not, try to get there in the same way. So
Connor, we're gonna get there, baby.
you too, GT. We'll push each other too.
Well, we're gonna end the advice part of that episode. I want to switch gears now into what we're gonna call. Let me know if you guys like that name.
Chicanery.
What?
The chicanery with the chicane.
Yeah.
The lounge, if you will.
Chicaners.
Welcome to the lounge. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the content. Who's got the hot take for the lounge part of this episode here? Connor?
Well, all right. Well, first of all, I don't know if I've brought this up before. Have I brought up any kind of hot take regarding your mom? No. Have I brought any
Shit.
Have I brought any hot take
Go
up?
ahead, talk about my mom and watch what happens.
No. Have I brought up any hot take regarding like fantasy universes or universes about like Star Wars or Harry Potter or anything? Have I brought that up yet?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. So my
this
hot
could
take.
be a bunch of fighting words.
Which one is the worst? I'm not gonna go with the best, but I'm gonna go with the
Oh
worst.
no!
Okay, what is it, Connor?
So the three are Harry Potter, Star Wars, and Lord of the Rings. Those are the universes I'm thinking of. Those are three.
Connor, you're gonna make a lot of foes.
Is there any universe that y'all would consider more popular than I think Star Wars is definitely one of them, but
I was gonna say
Star Wars is fine. But Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, maybe like Game of Thrones, but I didn't want to put that there because it's just.
If you consider the Marvel universe, but are we really going to get into
No,
all that?
not because of comic books.
Marvel versus
I just
DC.
want to. Yeah, I'm just talking about like book to movie or movie to book or whatever. That's which again I guess is technically the same thing. So the worst one I think the one that is the worst is Harry Potter. Out of those three, Harry Potter I think is the worst. If you had asked me a year ago, actually, I probably would have said that
Lord of the Rings.
No, Lord of the Rings is my favorite.
Star Wars.
I would have actually said Star Wars was the worst, but I've changed my mind actually, and now I think that Harry Potter is the worst of those three.
JT, what's
flip.
yours?
I flipped because of the Clone Wars. I literally because of that show alone. I flipped.
Was that because you read all the books?
For what, Harry Potter?
Yeah.
I've read all the books. Yeah, I've read all the books.
I feel like, I don't know. See, I don't really read like.
I don't
GT
really
said,
like
I'm
books.
I don't really.
I've just watched the movies.
Yeah, literally, that was me as a kid.
No,
Oh,
I'm with
man.
you.
I would say the worst one. I mean, I don't know. I've heard with like Star Wars, like there's so, and all these different ones. It's not Star Wars is the worst, but I feel like from what I've heard, the books have so much more detail, and obviously because of the time crunch for movies, they can't incorporate everything. So,
That's true.
and some people get very upset about that, and some people get very, very upset by some details. They're like, "What's that?" And you're like, "Hey, man, like, hey, I'm just trying to enjoy this movie. I don't know what's going on in the book." but I
JT,
like
what's
this
your
movie."
answer? What the fuck is your answer? He doesn't give a
The
shit about other
worst
people's
one.
opinions. What is the worst one?
The worst one is I don't really have a worst one.
Okay,
All
thank
right.
you. Okay. Mine is Harry Potter.
Thank you.
And that's it. That's the end of the hot take.
Why?
That's
Why?
it.
Why? Come on.
Okay, want me to tell
Spin
you
it.
why? I'm the worst
Yeah,
person to
tell
ask.
us.
I never watched that. This is how disinterested I was. I
You
never
don't
read a Harry
watch
Potter book. I never watched a Harry Potter movie from start to finish. I always got bored. Movies.
Kidding me?
No, I'm being dead ass. I could never get into all the characters and everything. Lord of the Rings, I never really fully read any of the books. I have watched some. How many movies are there? There's like a lot, right?
Not really. There's 3 movies for Lord of the Rings, 1 for each book, and then there's 3 for the Hobbit movie. One book that's 200 pages needed 300 movies. Why? I don't know. But that's what they
Well, I have watched, I believe, 1 of the Hobbits and 2 of the Lord of the Rings. So I can't say I'm a fan because I've only watched, I guess, half of the content. But not to mention they're fucking 6 hours each. But
But
They're
they're
so
amazing.
freaking long.
Yeah,
they're
but they're
so
great.
long. They're
Yeah, but they're
so
great.
long.
Yeah,
I
but
feel
they're
like,
great. Yeah, but they're great.
but at
Connor.
the same time,
Yes.
are they a little
Nope.
dragged out at points?
Yes.
Nope.
Yes.
They are. They are. No,
Nope.
you're wrong. They are.
For
They
200
are.
pages, you just said it yourself. For 200 pages, why do they
The
need
Hobbit
300
movies are dragged out. The Lord of the Rings movies, the longest one is 2 hours and like 50 minutes. That is long. I'm not saying they're not long movies. I won't disagree with you on that, but there's a reason why. Need
No, you
to
don't.
fully
You're a
appreciate
nerd.
the level of detail and complexity with the characters.
You're
Oh,
a fucking nerd.
Lord of the Rings is better than any universe ever.
I love
and
stuff.
I'm not calling people who are Lord of the Rings people nerds.
I-
Yeah,
I'm
you
messing
are.
with Connor.
No, you're calling me a nerd.
yeah,
'cause you're a
you specifically,
Bitch.
but
No,
everyone
I'm
else
just
is
kidding.
okay.
What about you? What's your hot take?
Yeah, what's your hot take, GT? Let's move past this.
Oh man. I don't know if this is a hot take, but I would say the best cookie.
I was gonna do a food one at first too, then I was just like,
Me
nah.
too. Okay,
The
go ahead.
best cookie.
I swear to God, if you say fucking
Chocolate
oatmeal
chip.
raisin. Okay.
Oh,
Close call there.
no.
Close
call.
call there. Close call. Anyone who likes oatmeal raisin cookies, I'm specifically
the
talking
best.
to you. I hope your pillow is lukewarm tonight when you go to bed. I hope
They might like that.
Bro.
I hope when you wake up tomorrow and you're going to school or work, your car gives you a little bit of trouble to where you think you might have to go to the shop, but then it starts normal.
Man,
If you like oatmeal raisin cookies
Come
as your
on.
favorite cookie, I hope that the next time you take a shower, the water heater doesn't turn on. If you like oatmeal raisin cookies, the next time,
He
Aw.
hates these cookies.
my God, oatmeal cookies aren't that bad.
the next
Come
time
on.
you go
Connor's
to a
an old
restaurant,
man.
the next time you go to a restaurant, I hope you wear your favorite shirt, and I hope you get a grease stain that will never come out of it. If you like oatmeal
Man.
raisin cookies,
Man, if you hate oatmeal raisin cookies as much as Tanner, I hope you start a podcast that fails within the first 2 years of you starting it.
damn.
Hey, that Connor's a part of. So what does that say about him?
I didn't mean this one. I didn't say this one.
If you think that this podcast is a failure, you can walk your happy ass that way.
Bye bye.
It's not a failure.
Bye, Connor.
Yeah, no,
All
I'm
right,
just kidding.
Tanner. So back at it.
Man, oatmeal raisin. I mean, that's a hill to die on. I would say, okay, GT. If you're talking about cookies, are you talking about like Oreos too?
Fuck, that opens a hole in the door.
Wow.
Are you just talking
opening a
like
whole new
baked? Are
thing.
you just talking like baked goods?
Baked. I think
cookies?
baked is more
Yeah,
appropriate.
baked. I was about to say, I don't know, Oreo slap with some
Okay,
milk.
yeah, all right, then, yeah, oh, absolutely. Chocolate chip are the best. I don't even know if that's a hot take. I'd
Yeah,
say
I
that's
don't know.
that's a good take, man. That's a very steamy, not steamy. It's steamy. That's steamy.
It's something.
That's good. Tanner, what's your favorite besides oatmeal raisin?
Besides oatmeal raisin being my
Man.
option. Oh, because here's the thing. Mint chocolate chip kind of pisses me off too. I'm going to be honest. Not as much as oatmeal raisin, but mint chocolate chip cookies, I don't like them.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't like them. My favorite cookie, oh my God. My favorite cookie, dude, it's got to be, I don't know if it's really a cookie or something that people just randomly do sometimes, like a little Reese's cookie where they put little Reese's pieces in there. I also
Ooh.
love chocolate chip, a good chocolate chip cookie. And then my number 3 will have to be the cookies where it's like I don't know if it's a sugar cookie with the Hershey's Kiss in the center of it.
Ooh.
But they start that it's a
Oh,
church
yeah.
staple. It's a church
Oh,
staple.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or something
every
that
time-
grandma would make.
Hey, in the fellowship hall where we're going after we
yeah.
were in the
Let's do a
sanctuary.
cookie besides chocolate chip. Like those Hershey's cookies. Oh my God,
Do
those
not
are so
tell me
good.
those are the best. Do
Yeah.
They're not the best,
tell me.
but they're good.
Whoa,
not the
Connor,
best.
Connor, there's no reason to raise our voice here. Okay? It's cookies.
All right, hey.
Okay, Mr.
I'm about to
Oatmeal
say,
Raisin.
If Connor,
Fuck oatmeal raisin.
if Connor went to our church, he would know all about the fellowship hall and all those sweets and snacks that were
That
there.
was like
every
that
week.
was the I'm not gonna say that. Lord forgive me.
Oh no!
That was-
no! He's about to have to prayer on the spot.
That was the thing that made my Sundays
Better.
better. Thank you, GT. That is
Better.
what I was
Going to
gonna go with.
church.
Fair enough.
No.
The older lady who was Eric's grandma.
Yeah, kind of. Did she die?
She was
Guys,
It's just-
Tanner's on something tonight.
Okay, my hot take. My hot
Yeah,
take.
what's your hot take? God.
My hot take is
good God.
my hot take is as follows. I'm sticking on food. I'm sorry to everyone who wants to hear a diverse range of topics. The best kind of food, in terms of like if you're going out to eat and you're like, what do I want? My default is always Mexican. And I think that is the best. When you're meeting a friend for dinner, where are you
man.
going most of the time?
Mexican
Where are you
food.
meeting up most of the time? Mexican food.
It's a good take. That's hot. That's a hot take.
How's that
So
a
the
hot
best
take?
style of like restaurant to eat
That's-
out
that's-
at is Mexican. Is that what you're saying?
In comparison to a good Chinese place or a good Italian place,
Yeah.
a good Mexican / Hispanic cuisine, whatever category you want to put it into, because I like Cuban food as well. They have some amazing food as well.
Great.
Jamaican food as well. But anyways, getting off topic, but Mexican food specifically, a good Mexican restaurant is like 10 times better than a good Chinese or Asian cuisine restaurant. Agree or disagree?
I can agree, yeah. I think I'm a mood
Yeah.
eater, so like boy, if I want some Italian
But here's my thing though, right? Like what's separating, I mean, there is a difference obviously between like Olive Garden and a good Italian place, but is there that much separation of that versus Taco Bell and like the fucking best Mexican food you've ever had in your life? Where is there a bigger gap?
Mexican.
What's the biggest gap? A Panda Express versus a really nice fancy schmancy
Hey, don't
downtown.
talk crap about Panda. I love
I'm
me
not-
some
I'm not.
Panda.
But I'm saying there's that version versus the higher end Asian cuisine. Is there a bigger gap in that, or is there a bigger gap in between Taco Bell?
Mexican.
Mexican. I agree. I would
Save
say
it for next time.
Well, I was gonna say I would agree with Mexican, and then I would say the most overrated like style of food to eat out at is Italian. Out of Chinese, Mexican, Italian, or like barbecue, I can make better. Not always, but
What?
I can make really good Italian food at home. I can't say that for Mexican either, but there are still some really good Mexican restaurants that like are gonna make food better than I'll make at home, right? But Italian food,
You can make better.
I have not always better, But like, if I want like good pizza, or I want to make good pasta or good chicken parm or something, I can make that better or as good.
All right, well, I guess that's enough of the hot takes and a lounge part of this episode. But if you guys enjoyed this format of the first half talking about the advice, the self-help, the Let's Talk 20s podcast, as you guys know it up until this point, and then us just kind of talking and going with our hot takes this week, I'm sure we probably won't do just 3 hot takes the next episode, but we're just kind of throwing some stuff out there. But I appreciate you guys listening to another one. Once again, so blessed to have these 2 gentlemen in my life, my 2 best friends, and able to record again for the first time and longer than I would like to admit. But thank you guys for listening or watching the Let's Talk 20s podcast. GT, tell us where they can find us. Connor, sign us off after.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can find us on YouTube and IG at Let's Talk 20s Podcast.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in to the Let's Talk 20s podcast. You guys know you can find us with our episodes on Wednesdays, uploaded 7 p.m. That's still the episode upload time, right, Tanner?
That is.
Sweet. So you guys can always look forward to that. We always welcome suggestions, or if you guys want to reach out to us and need to talk about anything, we're all here. All of our Instagram handles are always uploaded with our episodes, so feel free to reach out if you need anything. And until the next one, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Signing off.
Peace.
Bye.